What's up, everybody? Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and I'm coming back with another Tool Tuesday. For this Tool Tuesday, we're going to do a quick review on the XSF03 cordless Makita drywall screw gun that they've come out with. It's an 18-volt system, brushless motor, and honestly, it's a really nice screw gun in my opinion. It's specifically designed for drywall, so typically you're going to be using 1 1/4 inch and 5/8 drywall screws, coarse or tight thread. And it is not going to be kind of a decking screw gun, mainly because it's a 4,000 RPM, so a little bit higher speed for those shorter screws. I picked it up a little while ago. I've had the opportunity to use it on one project. Basically built a new pantry closet in a person's house, so I had to hang some drywall for that. I've always used in the past either just like an impact driver for small projects or a corded screw gun like a Hilti or drywall screw gun. But this is the first cordless one I have. I'm a little bit of a Makita fanboy when it comes to cordless tools, just because that's the line of cordless tools that I've always kind of focused on and purchased the most tools in. I've got Bosch, I've got Hitachi, now HTP or Metabo HPT, sorry, Hitachi power tool. I've got some Festool stuff. Yeah, and just kind of a smattering of different stuff. I've also got some DeWalt stuff. But Makita's been the one that I always kind of have relied on and purchased the most of. As far as the screw gun itself, it's a pretty compact, ergonomic tool. It's got the basic standard drywall screw gun features. It's got the nose piece that's adjustable for depth of drive. It slides on and off so you can change out your bit holder. They do have a screw feed magazine that you can get. I don't have that yet. I'd like to try it out. I have one for my Hilti screw gun. I've got the older style. There are 2 styles of that now. But this takes the older style strip screws, which I'll show here in a little bit. In comparison to the Hilti corded screw gun. The nose, it's kind of nice. It's actually got an O-ring on the inside, so it keeps any drywall dust and debris out of the actual mechanism up front. So if you're in a really dusty environment, which drywall tends to be, it keeps the mechanical portion clean, which is a nice feature. I basically have the 4 and 5 amp hour batteries from my Makita stuff. I don't feel like it's too big. I'm sure some people might think that's a little bit too much weight, but overall it feels pretty good. The screw gun itself has a few features that are really cool. It's obviously got the forward and reverse, so if you do have to back a screw out, you can do that. It's got a belt clip on it. It does have an accessory clip that you can mount to either the left or the right side, so you can hang it off your bags or your belt, whether you're right or left-handed. It's got a trigger lock on the side, which for me, I'm left-handed. So a right-handed person, that's easy to get to. They can pull the trigger and push the trigger lock. For me being left-handed, I have to kind of do this weird, hold it down with my thumb and push it on the other side. But that's just one of those things I have to deal with. You've got your standard, pull the trigger, it runs, release the trigger, it turns off. The bit does not engage or start spinning until you actually depress it like a standard screw gun, and then it disengages once the screw's been driven far enough. And that, of course, is adjusted by the nose piece. It has an LED light that's mounted down in the base here. It's not up on the nose piece, and it's directed to aim towards the surface where the screws are actually being driven. So that's kind of nice. It's out of the way. You don't get that shadow of it being the LED light right here and getting kind of this dead spot. It's shining right up at the face where you're working. It's got a fuel gauge, aka battery gauge, down on the top of the handle here. It's kind of hard to see. I'll try and zoom in here. And then it's also got a selector switch here. So like a normal drywall screw gun, corded or cordless, you can pull the trigger and push it down and lock the trigger on. So it's running full time. So you just put the screw on the tip and then just push straight in, which ergonomically it's got the good handhold up high, 2 fingers on the trigger down below, and you can push straight in. That's a typical running method for screw guns, but they do have a feature down here where you push the button once quickly, you pull the trigger, it doesn't turn on, you push in the trigger lock. Obviously I got my funky way of having to do that, but it will not run until you push a screw into the wall. So to turn it off, you just pull the trigger. That basically gives it the same functionality. Push the button, disengage that feature. It's basically giving you the same functionality of just driving the screw in one after another without having to mess with the trigger, but it saves the battery in that it's not running in between each screw that you're placing. So we'll throw a board on a clamp here on the workbench. We'll throw some of those in just to let you see how that works, and then we'll look at some of the features like weight and things like that. Alright, so as you saw, I drove some screws into that 4x4. Seems to have plenty of power to do that. Goes really fast. It's a little bit more work to drive straight into a 4x4 than it would be through drywall and into a stud, but it seemed to do just fine. Interesting enough, this is a assembled in USA tool, which is kind of interesting. I didn't see anything on the packaging that led me to believe that until I was looking at the instruction or decal on the side of the tool. So that's kind of cool. As far as weight, it's coming in at 63.2 ounces, so it's almost 4 pounds by my math. It's going to be definitely too heavy for some people and definitely not a problem for others. I was a framer for quite a while, so carrying a Hitachi nail gun makes that not seem that bad. So I'm okay with that weight. As far as comparison, I've got my Hilti screw gun here. Put it back together again. A Hilti screw gun. This is a 4,500 RPM corded screw gun. Just the screw gun without the cord, because you're not carrying that, is 50.5 ounces. So it's, I'd say that's pretty close to almost a pound less than the Makita. So that is a substantial amount of difference, but you know, like I said, maybe having the cordless ability is better for some people. Makita does make a screw feed magazine attachment for this. I don't have it, but it's very, very similar to the Hilti style magazine. This one is the older style. They have two now, and I can show you the difference between the screws. But this style here just basically slides onto the nose after you pull the screw depth drive adjustment off of there. It takes these collated screws that come in these strips. I think there are 48 or 50 screws per strip. These are made by quite a few different companies. Pretty much anybody that makes a drywall screw gun nowadays makes complementary screws, and the plastic strips will be different colors, but they're pretty much the same. These types of screws are convenient because there are a lot of screws in it, but they do tend to tangle, and you can't, it's challenging to stick a bunch of these in a nail bag without them getting tangled or stabbing you in the hand. So Hilti has come out with a new style of screw magazine which takes screws like this. They're in a more kind of traditional like nail gun collation. It's on a more rigid strip, so they're not flopping around. They're not going to get tangled as easily. You can take a big handful of these out of the box, stick them in your nail bag, and pull them out one strip at a time, which is a little bit more convenient than these. Now, would that mean that I wouldn't get the magazine adapter for the Hilti, or thinking Hilti, for the Makita? No, I think I still would get the Makita style just because I like it. If I really had a lot of money and I really wanted to get into tool comparisons, I would probably get every brand of cordless screw gun and roto zip combination out there for drywall and do like a 10 tool head-to-head showdown competition. But we're not quite there yet. Maybe someday we will be. But on the whole, I like it. It's a good tool. Really convenient to use, and it's just compact, easy. It's a one and done type thing.